Three, two, one. What is up, YouTube? It is your boy, echo-YGO. And I'm coming at y'all today with a spicy new deck. This is the first place for Deck Devistators 4. And I have the man himself, Fitz, today. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on the channel. I'm excited to be here.
Appreciate you, man. So we're gonna get started on the deck profile, but before we get started, would you like to give any shout outs for the homies or for the community?
Sure. Yeah. So, for those in the online community, a lot of you probably know me. I go by Fitz. That's my Discord handle. I'm a member of the Crow's Nest, which is one of the
Ooh,
teams in the Discord community. Our our Captain Snack, who you may be familiar with, is a staple in the Retro Edison community. She runs our YouTube,
mm-hmm.
so go check that out. Should just be Crow's Nest Yugioh. Should be able to find it, no problem.
Yes,
And
sir.
she and a couple others on my team actually host those Deck Devastators tournaments that you're mentioning that I was lucky enough to win. Snack streams them. Another one of my teammate Fen like co-hosts and helps with the behind the scene works. Another one of my teammate Dimitri judges. So they put a lot of work into those, and yeah, just pumped to be a part of the team. They do a lot of good stuff. Check out the channel. But yeah, I'm excited to be here and talk about the deck that was able to take it down.
Yes, sir. Shout outs to you guys, Crow's Nest. I've been, watching your videos, subscribing. Just great quality content. But let's get started on the deck profile. First, we have the man himself, Red MD. Red MD at 2? Is the card at 3 in the format or at 2?
It is at 3.
But you're playing
I
at 2.
chose Yeah, I chose to cut it to 2. Um, I can talk about that a little bit why if you're curious.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Because I was kind of confused on why, like, generally speaking, people play 3 instead of 2. But let's see your rationale behind it.
Yeah, so I guess I'll just kind of explain it kind of just goes along with how the deck came to be. So traditional disaster dragons or trap dragons or whatever you want to call them.
Mm-hmm.
When people are typically playing Red MD and some combination of trap cards in the same deck together, the like standard version that's been played before has been a version with triple Red MD, usually some amount of masked dragons to float into totem dragons,
Mm-hmm.
let you like tribute summon big monsters out of hand, bring them back with Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
And then my version of the deck, it started with that, but it attempted to address some of the problems I thought the deck had, which was there's no like in archetype removal really, like
Mm-hmm.
both for like spell and trap cards or just like for big monsters. Like if they summon something that's bigger than Red Eyes, it's kind of a pain for that deck to out. And I also thought playing the like Totem Dragon can be good, but I thought the the juice wasn't really worth the squeeze in terms of like it didn't let you play non-dragons. It didn't let as a result you couldn't side like DD Crow or Cyber Dragon without like infringing on the deck synergies. I saw all that together. Like I wanted to try a slightly different take on it.
Mm-hmm.
In Edison format, like the dragons that are actually good to summon are pretty limited, and I thought Debris Dragon was like the best of the bunch.
Ooh.
So I attempted to go with a version that kind of took out the mass dragons and totem dragon stuff and instead replaced it with debris dragons and then the appropriate targets for them.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, I kind of had to make sure I had decent enough debris to debris target ratios. The monster lineup got a little cramped pretty quickly,
Yeah.
and as a result, like the final list you see here, I only have 7 normal summonable dragons that you're able to banish to get your red MDs out of hand. It's the 3 Wyvern, the 3 Debris, and the 1 Exploder Dragon. And in
Okay.
testing, when I was originally on triple red MD, I felt myself like opening 2 where I couldn't find the dragon to special summon them out of hands at times, or
Mm-hmm.
it's just like a bad top deck when you don't have the dragon to go along with it in the mid to late game. And I felt like I wasn't compromising a ton of the upside by cutting down to 2 while hoping to increase the consistency. And that's kind of how I ended up on the final ratios you see here. Just wanted to cut down on some of the brickiness, and bringing in the debris dragons forced me to play like some of those flip monsters and Trooper and Reaper and whatnot that kind of lowered my dragon count and ultimately landed on 2 red MDs being what I thought was a good ratio.
Beautiful, beautiful. So instead of playing the Mass Dragon, which is, if you guys didn't know, it's like a recruiter that brings out other dragons from the deck, and the Totem Dragon Fitz mentioned is it's like a floater that comes back that can be used as a tribute. So what he did is he kind of removed these things and then brought back like sort of like an engine for like the dragons to supplement it. Is that what your like rationale was, basically, like summarizing it?
Yeah, basically, I thought the debris dragon plus flip monster stuff was, one, just kind of generally stronger than those other cards, and two, helped by giving you some ways to actually out problem cards. Like it kind of just like synergized pretty well together. You have like Rykos to help pop back row, Snowman Eater to help pop big monsters.
Yeah.
Now Debris Dragon can go into Black Rose plays, which can help you out problematic boards. For instance, like, this deck can have trouble outing Colossal Fighter, for instance, or Dupe Lock, where there's 2 Dupe Frogs on the fields.
Yeah,
Like Mass Dragon and Totem Dragon aren't doing anything to game states like that, versus Debris Dragon can give you those power plays, get you back in the game when you're behind. The flip monsters can help you out problematic stuff. I just thought it like did a little more than the old school, like, float until you can summon some big guys. But
that's understandable, because sometimes when I play against dragon players and I just smack down like an absolute zero or like a Gores or something, and they're like, damn, I can't get over it because I just have like these recruiters on the field that I can only like cycle and hope for the best, maybe drop a red MD later. But I get what you're saying, how you're adding in just a bunch of removal monsters that can float back with debris.
I think this engine is like a bit stronger and like gives you a higher win percentage in the games where you're not resolving Future Fusion. Like there were games throughout the tournament where I wouldn't find Future Fusion, or I'd actually like mill it off the Raikou, and I was still able to win just by resolving some flip effects, some Debris Dragon plays, like swing the tempo back in my favor.
Mm-hmm.
That just play a fair game, and they just do a bit more flexible than just like stalling until you drop a red med.
Nice. So you're saying that essentially like the main win con of this deck is Future Fusion and resolving these wyverns to bring these from the deck. But if you mill it off, or you like they happen to have like removal for the Future Fusion, you can just kind of rely on debris for recursion and like go into all these 6 synchros right here.
Yeah, it gives you a plan B that can still win when you don't resolve the best card in your deck. Because I mean, Future Fusion is the reason to play dragons.
This card is fucking busted.
Yeah, it's one of the most insane things. Because if you resolve it and send double Wyvern, double Red MD, bring them back, you instantly go +2. If they don't answer the board, the Red MDs can get their effects off. Suddenly you're +4 and the game's out of control,
Yeah.
It's like, that's why you play the double Gold Sark and the Upstarts, to find it as often as possible. And that's a big reason why I thought the deck had the upside to do well in the tournament. But, the other cards in the deck are hopefully, one, gonna like let you trade favorably with other top decks until you can find Future Fusion, or at times let you win without even resolving the card.
Nice. So I kind of have a couple of questions about the monsters that you played. One is the Spirit Reaper. What are your thoughts on this monster? Like, how does it flow with the deck?
So the main thing is it's a level 3 Debris Dragon target. And that was pretty much the reason for the inclusion. It was just also like, I don't know, just kind of a generally good card in that if your opponent doesn't want to like commit cards to the fields to try to like play around Raikou, for instance, you could like summon the Spirit Reaper and try to get in some direct damage and discard a card. I know another player in the online community, 10 foot.
10 foot? Yeah, that guy is a monster, bro.
Yeah, he's one of the most decorated players. Like last year, he was topping and winning tournaments online. He was a big fan of splashing a one-off Spear Reaper in his Value Turbo deck, so
Oh,
he kind of
nice.
showed that it can just be a decent, good card on its own. And when it's a good card. It's at one for a reason, and it was a Debris Dragon target for some synergies. So I decided to try it out. I honestly think it probably kind of underperformed overall, but it did have some highlights. Like there was times in the one frog match I played during the tournament where
Hmm.
my opponent was just trying to wall up behind Treeborn, um, and I was able to like summon a Debris Dragon, bring back a Raikou, like hit over a Treeborn and a defense position swap frog, and get direct in with Spear Reaper, discard his last card out of hand, where that
Ooh.
like swung the game back in my favor. So like decks like that, like frogs and like Christia Sworn, which typically hold a lot of cards, and don't play a lot of back row. Spear Reaper can be good against those. Try to break up their hand, get those power cards out of hand. But I don't know. I basically just wanted to try it as a Debris Dragon target and see how it performed.
Nice, nice. So debris can basically go into black rose if this is in your grave, which is great. But my other question is Gores. How did you like Gores? Since you're kind of your Wincon is basically a continuous spell. I'm just kind of awkward with Gores. But what are your
Yeah. So,
thoughts?
uh, so, well, so the reason for Gores, obviously in general, is that it's just one of the best cards, especially in low resource game states. If you guys are even cards, then a Gores comes out, you can swing the momentum back in your favor. Obviously, when you play a lot of traps or especially continuous stuff, there are definitely conflicts that arise, where you draw it and it's dead. However, my logic was the two continuous cards in my deck, Future Fusion and Call the Haunted, are the two best cards in my deck.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm resolving those, I should be ahead anyway. And and sometimes drawing a dead Gores was like a small price to pay for the times where I don't have my power cards, but having the Gores can help like swing the game back in my favor. Um, Another way, just because it's a good one-off. And I think it performed pretty well. Like it's definitely not an auto include, but I chose to include it in this build.
Nice, nice. So it's even if you drew and it was kind of dead at times, it's kind of as you said, it's a small price to pay because the card is like so good, so it didn't
Yeah,
matter.
you take the good with the bad, and then also like another like funny thing is so like the Future Fusion or Call of the Haunted can get stuck on your field. Like if your opponent like banishes the monster that comes out off of them, for instance, they both like stay on the field with no effect and can get in the way of Gores. But this deck makes Black Rose Dragon a lot, so
Oh,
you can kind of Black Rose destroy some of your opponent's card and then get your own card out of the way, so you can then like drop
drop the
Gores on the
course.
simplified game state. So you have some outs to like when you do kind of get stuck in those awkward positions.
Okay, nice, nice. What are your thoughts on the spell and trap lineup?
So the triple upstart, double gold sark, obviously, or to just try find your Wincon Future Fusion as often as possible. If you play the upstarts and gold sarks, your odds of finding either a Future Fusion or a gold sark in your opening six cards is about 43%. So
Ooh,
a good chunk of the game, you'll have the opportunity to resolve Future Fusion by turn three, which is sounds pretty good to me. And then the other subset of games, you'll be playing a more fair game until you ultimately can try to find it. And then the other spells are basically, heavy MST, Brain Con,
yeah, these
just
are the standard.
staples,
Yeah,
some of the best cards. And that's pretty much it. It's just cards to find your best card and then other good ones.
nice. And then for the traps, we have what stood out to me is the double dust tornado. Is that
Yeah,
like
so
no? Go
that
ahead,
was
go ahead.
definitely yeah. So the double dust tornado was definitely a meta call. Um, if I don't know if you've been paying attention to the Edison War League
Yeah.
that's been running right now, but I'm a part of that. It's been a lot of fun. For those that don't know, it's basically it's similar to like a goat war league, the goat format war league that's been going on along. It's just like teams of eight, and we play a team each week. Whoever wins more matches wins the week, and then there's like a grand championship at the end. But a cool part of that is that they've been tracking like every week's like data, and in terms of like deck representation and then deck win percentage, and like the two top decks in terms of representation and win percentage were Hero Beat and Blackwing. So,
Ooh.
when this tournament happened, was it like 2 or 3 weeks ago at this point?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was expecting to face the most of, especially at the top tables, assuming I was gonna do well. And that's why I decided to bring Double Dust as a way to just like have a good game one matchup with them. Have extra outs in the main deck to uh, Whirlwind, or like if there are any main deck Royal Oppressions
Mm-hmm.
in like Blackwings or whatnot, and also just like clear back row to try. Like, if I open like Dust Tornado, Raikou, Future Fusion going second, like sometimes I'm not just slamming the Future Fusion. I'm setting the Raikou, setting the Dust, try to destroy 2 Speller Traps my opponent has, and then try to activate Future Fusion on the next turn. Try to like hit their MST or Solemn or Gemini Spark or whatever else that could stop me from resolving my big play.
Nice.
So I ended up just deciding to go with the Double Dust and concede bad game one matchups to like Frogs or Christia Sworn or
Mm-hmm.
Bat Crow light decks in return for, if I was right about the decks I'd be playing on the day, having extra ways to get rid of those pesky back row cards, make sure my big play is resolved, and yeah, I think it went pretty well. I did face like one Christia Sworn and one Frog throughout the run, but did face a lot of Hero Beat where it was nice. I think it's meta dependent. I could see cutting down to like 1 or 0 if expecting more of those back row light decks, but for that tournament, I decided to bring in the double.
Nice, nice. So, from what you're saying, is that you're having a hard matchup with back row decks, or is it just a meta call because you find these kind of decks kind of annoying in the ladder?
Um, I mean, I wouldn't say like it's necessarily hard. I just think they're very good at like forcing through my plays. Like if I can clear all the back row, I can usually like do a like red MD play, or resolve a Future Fusion, or resolve a Call of the Haunted type push that I think will like get me into a favorable game state. I just want to have all those tools available. It's priority number one is like definitely making sure your Future Fusion resolves at all costs. So
Mm-hmm.
like having the Dust Tornadoes in to like try to pick off as many Speller Traps as you can before activating it, give you the best chance of letting it resolve, dump all your dragons, go +2 or better. It's just what I wanted to have happen, like those top decks, Heroes and Blackwings, have a lot of cards like Solemn Judgment, Mystical Space Typhoon, Gemini Spark, Icarus Attack, a lot of stuff that Royal Oppression that just instantly negates Future Fusion before it resolves the big thing. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to have those extra cards in the main deck to help me force it through.
Nice, nice. So, since you won this event, and we consider you like a credible source for being a dragon player, what do you think is like the ultimate like worst freaking matchup against this deck? Like if you had to play against that deck, like you're gonna lose, what deck would you name?
So I don't think there's like one where you're gonna lose, but this version of the deck, especially with Double Dust Tornado main, is very weak to Frogs.
Hmm.
You play multiple set monsters, which Frogs love to see. It just gives them instant Monarch fuel.
Yeah.
Double Dust Tornado, Heavy Storm, and Mystical Space Typhoon give you a lot of dead draws in game one against them, and also like your power player Future Fusion, bring back 2 dudes. They have like Soul Exchange, Enemy Controller, Brain Con. Like they have like so many ways they can just clear multiple big monsters. So
Yeah.
like your power plays doesn't stick against them very often. So I think Frogs almost certainly is the worst matchup, especially with the Double Dust Tornado main.
Nice, nice. Frogs is a bad matchup. Well, it's good that you have bottomlesses for the for the Monarchs at least. That's kind of good. But on to the side deck. What are your thoughts on the side deck you have? Did you think any card was kind of meh, or like you thought you could change it after the tournament?
Uh, yes. So I wouldn't like um die on a hill for this side deck by any means. This was kind of like I got in a good amount of testing before the tournament, but not as much as I would have liked. And this is ultimately what I went with, but even since then I've tweaked it a little bit. But yeah, I mean Cyber Dragons, Crows just are usually how I start any sideboard. They're just generically good,
Yeah.
cover multiple matchup spreads. I think it's fine to leave those in there for sure. The
Mm-hmm.
third Drago is nice against Lightsworn or zombies or like Vayu Turbo. I'm usually
Yeah.
bringing in the third to give them trouble. The Soul Taker is pretty bad, honestly. I've since cut that card. I originally just threw it in there as like a generic thing to have, like, because for outing like recruiters or helps me out at dupe lock against frogs, that sort of thing. But I think there are just better cards that you could put in that spot. Um, and yeah, the other stuff was just kind of like generic good cards that I thought
Yeah.
would help me out. The triple pulling the rug, obviously for frogs, which I expected to be my worst matchup. So ideally, the game plan against them was one, hope to dodge them in general, and then
Yeah.
two, if I ran into them, just bring in the triple pulling the rug to stop their monarch push and then like try to kill them quickly on a crackback. So I think I'm a believer in pulling the rug because like not only does it trade one for one with the monarch,
Mm-hmm.
but depending on the variant, like sometimes you can just stop them in their tracks and like it doesn't it gets rid of both the monarch and like the treeborn, so they have like nothing protecting their life and gives you those openings to like get in for big damage and put them under a lot of pressure
Yeah.
following the rug.
Yeah.
So I found that to be like my preferred route against them versus like just pure floodgate cards like Mask of Restrict. But I think you could consider bringing some number of those as well. I think that's also a valid strategy.
Yeah.
But I chose to just go with the rugs. I didn't even get a lot of frog testing in before the tournament, to be honest.
Oh
But
no, you still managed to win, so
yeah,
that's great. So I can already see how you would side in against frogs, because like since I'm a frog player, I can kind of see that you would put these three in, maybe a soul taker for the. If you guys didn't know, a soul taker makes dupe frog miss timing because it destroys first and then it lets your opponent gain. I think so. That's how it works.
yes, that's
So
correct.
nice. So I do consider, taking the spell trap removal out. That would be at least a little bit of a basis for going second against frogs, or just going first again. But that's how you would, I think, is the correct side for frogs, because like they don't play a lot of spell traps, even games
Yeah,
2 and 3.
yeah.
But
Depending on the frog variant too, I think Mind Crush and Compulse can be okay. Like against hero frogs that play Junk Synchron, it can help trade with absolute zeros, or the synchro plays
yeah,
reasonably enough. Um, and then Mind Crush, if they're like bouncing their monarchs with Swap Frog, or just like bouncing the Swap Frog yourself, you can like hit it. Or if I see they're on Fader, I like to bring in Mind Crush.
oh,
Uh,
Mind Crush,
'Cause
and also Drago, right? Because
yeah,
he,
and Drago can stop Fader, Gores, Trag, which are a lot of times, if they're not playing like Threatening Wars or something, they're prime form of defense.
yeah,
So
that
you
is,
can bring in, depending on like what you see, like what type of build you read, you can bring in some of those cards as well. Usually try to cut down on the flip monsters because those are really bad into frogs, that sort
yeah,
of thing.
that is true. So you probably cut some of these out and put like a Drago and two crows or something like that, and maybe like
Um,
a Sidra.
I I I don't really like crow versus frogs, honestly. It
Really?
like it, if I see they're on like junk synchron or something else that like is grave targeting like miracle fusion or something,
Hmm.
then I am more comfortable bringing crows against like typical frog narc. Like the crow on one treeborn is like such it's a tempo play, but it's a low impact thing when they can usually just like resend the other one easy enough. And then if you draw a crow mid to late game and they already have two treeborns in your grave, like it's just bad and doing nothing.
Yeah, that is
So
true.
I, I think it's fine, but it's not my favorite route to go against them. Um, like if it's like just for treeborn, I think it's kind of a trap to side in crows. If it can stop multiple things like junk synchrons or miracle fusions or the treeborn when they only have one,
Yeah.
then I think it makes a little more sense.
Okay, nice. So, have you considered playing Soul Release?
Yes, I have had Soul Release in my sideboard before. I actually I had it in like even a few days before the event, but I swapped it for a third rug just because I thought the Soul Release was like a bit narrower than rug, but I could see it coming back in over the Soul Taker or like even the like Second Prison or Mind Crush. Or sorry, Second Prison or Mind Control.
Mind
I
Control,
think are
okay.
like more of the fringe cards. I could definitely see it returning to the thing. I like it. I don't love it. Because similar problem where like it can be in practice like or in theory you can be like, oh yeah, I'll just use it to banish two treeborns. In practice it like doesn't always work like that. Sometimes you have to use it preemptively when they only have one treeborn in grave, or I think Hero Frog's one of the more popular versions. Like sometimes they can just like they have a bunch of waters engraved and they just summon a hero, then instantly activate the Miracle Fusion while you're holding Soul Release, and you're like, well, this didn't even stop that. And like,
Yeah.
it it's definitely a high variance card to where it's good, but it can be really tough in practice to like actually know when to use it, from my experience.
Yeah, nice, nice. So, anything else you would like to point out about the side that stood out? Maybe
Uh,
that was overperforming, or that was really good.
my body was actually really clutch for me that tournament. I'd bring this in against a lot actually. Hero beat Blackwing and Lightsworn. This all came in. Um, and it was actually like really clutch. One of my hero beat matchups. Because one, if you like use it on a Gemini Spark when they try to pop your monster, you just go instant +1
Mm-hmm.
because they don't you negate it and they don't get the draw. But then also like Fossil Dino is like a really common card against me, and like this guy like I had Prime Material on the board, and he had a monster set, and he flips Torrential, so I negate with Prime Material, discarding the last card in my hand, and I was like, huh, like why did he do that? Like I bet you that last set is Fossil Dyna, and I had my body set, and I was like, I'm not even gonna attack his set. I'm just gonna like sit on this, and if he flips it, then I'll just like my body protect my board when he thinks he like has an opening, and sure enough, like that was the case. So yeah, it being able to like stop Icarus attacks at a +1, Gemini Sparks at a +1. It can if they try to like up Royal Oppression, Red Eyes Darkness Metal when it's already on board,
It
my
destroys it.
body stops. My body stops that as well.
Wow.
Um, and then against Lightsworn too, they usually bring in Royal Decree, and it's a way that you can negate Celestia or JD when they activate Royal Decree. So I could even see myself going up to 2 on my body. The card was like really good, and I brought it in a lot.
Nice. So this card is the MVP in the side.
Uh, Honestly, probably, yeah.
Nice. Okay, now on to the extra deck. I see the homie Iron Chain for the Debris Dragon, and
Yep.
Trident Dragion. What is
Yep.
that?
Uh, so y- it's it can be used for OTKs, but oftentimes it's just like a big beater you can go into. How you make it is so it has to be all dragons, tuner and non-tuner. So you make it with either debris plus prime material dragon, or
Ooh,
debris plus iron chain dragon. If
nice.
for instance, if you summon debris, bring back a Raikou, sync for iron chain, use a Red Eyes Darkness Metal effect, bring back your debris that you just synchroed with. You can sync those two off for the Trident Dragon, and then you have a 3K monster there, as well as its effect can sometimes let you push for OTKs. So it definitely comes up. I made it a couple times in the tournament.
Wow, this card is crazy. So it pops up, it pops cards, and then it gains additional attack for each card pop. Wow.
It pops cards you control.
Oh, you control.
Yeah, but
So it's just there to, I'm gonna kill you this turn.
yeah, exactly. Or for instance, in my finals match, I had a forget the I think it was like I had a red MD already on the field and a debris dragon in defense on the field. And it was an open board, and I summoned debris, brought back a Raikou, synced into Iron Chain, synced the Iron Chain and the debris already on the field for Trident Dragon. Didn't use its effect, but then red MD'd back the Iron Chain that I just synced with, and then that combo of like the 3 monsters on board was lethal through Trag, or it would force him to drop the Gores, and I would be able to like beat over both the Gores and the token. So like just having stuff like that where it lets me like ladder up into it and then like bring back the level 6 I synchro with red MD for just just so you can have 3 big monsters on the board. It was just like it came up a couple times. I never actually used its effect to attack multiple times for lethal, but it has come up for me in testing where that can happen.
Nice, nice. And then what is this thing? Exploder Dragon Wing.
I've never made that card once, but I have it in there just in case. It also has to be all dragons, or sorry, it's tuner and the non-tuner.
Non-tuner has to be a dragon. Yeah.
The only tuner I play is debris. So the way you can make this is debris dragon plus exploder dragon.
Okay.
It is the level 3 dragon that I play.
Yeah, right there.
So it never came up for me, but I decided to have it in just in case. I figured I'll play the cards that my deck can actually make before I just play generic stuff that might come up if I like brain con a tuner or something.
Okay, so you're saying that you would keep this monster in before you would mess with any other cards? Like this has got to stay here?
It doesn't have to. I just chose to have it in just in case, but like, it's super fringe case either way because you can only make dragon synchros with your main deck. It's only if you brain control or mind control an opponent's tuner to where you can go into the generic stuff. So maybe that's like there's a fringe enough case where I could cut it for like a Goyo Guardian, for instance, if I like brain con an opponent's Gale and sync it with one of my level 3s.
Yeah.
But that something like that never came up, and Exploder Dragonwing never came up. So I don't know which is actually correct, but they're both definitely edge cases.
Yeah, aside from that, I'm seeing like the generic dragons that you can go into for debris, right? The level 8s, you have the level 7, another level 7, and then you have the 6s. So that's pretty cool. I do see the 2 Chimera techs for maybe machine matchups?
Again, it's just because I have 2 side decked, so may as well side the 2 Chimera techs since I have the extra deck space.
Yeah, this I mean, from what I'm seeing is that this deck can win without utilizing all of the extra deck monsters. But
yeah, like I never made a non debris dragon synchro in all of my 11 matches on the day. Like I have like one generic thing of like each level just in case, but it literally never came up. So you have the space to kind of play fringe stuff like double Chimera Tech just in case there's ever a game you summon 2 Cyber Dragons and contact these toys. But yeah, again, it's like edge case stuff, but you don't play normal tuners, so you have the luxury of planning for that, I guess.
Yeah, nice. Well, this has been a cool review of the deck. Do you have any final thoughts, or some shout outs again?
Well, shout out to you. I appreciate you inviting me on the channel.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, I'm just happy to talk about the deck, and was definitely fortunate enough to have a great run and take down a big 130 plus person tournament. Like that was definitely the highlight of my online gaming career. Yeah, just shout out to my team, Crow's Nest, all great people. I enjoy play testing with them a lot. They help me like get ready for these type of tournaments. Subscribe to their YouTube channel. There's great content on there. My teammate Snack puts a lot of effort into that. And yeah, that's about it for me. If you have any other questions, happy to answer. But otherwise, it's been a pleasure.
Nice. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for watching. It's been echo-YGO signing out.